That's me with three of my fans, Martha Kome, Martha Karoa, and Lona Irongo. And that's me with one of the best production teams I have ever worked with. When these pictures were taken in July of 2018, we had just done 5 sold-out shows of the Brazen edition of the critically acclaimed series of Kenyan history storytelling called Too Early for Birds. 10 years ago, if you had showed me the pictures I've just shown you and told me what I just told you, without irony, I would have punched you in the face. And I'm from Kawangware, so you know, that is a real threat. I didn't wake up and find myself here. It has been a long journey, and I'm here to give you a speed run-through of that journey. I wasn't always this confident. It took a lot of work. In 2009, I looked good, almost as good as I look now. I had a decent insurance job, a husband, and to make the picture even rosier, I had a baby on the way. But that's just what you'd have seen on Instagram if we had it back then. The truth is, my marriage was in shambles. My husband was abusive, both physically and psychologically. It wasn't always like this, though. He was my childhood friend. Our families were pretty close. I mean, you'd imagine that a marriage like that would work out, it would be rosy, right? Wrong. Before it was wrong, it was right. I want you to take a moment and think about the first time you fell in love. That was me. This man loved me like I had never been loved before. Our love blossomed. Our relationship moved really fast. The next thing I knew, I was moving in. Barely 6 months of dating. Of course, my father was against it. But does love listen? It does not. Now, take 5 seconds. Think about the first time your heart was broken. Yeah? I'm sorry about the pain. You didn't deserve it. The first time this man hit me, I couldn't believe it. I was caught off guard. I mean, no one prepared me for it. I loved this man so much that the violence caught me off guard. My longtime friend called me. She wanted me to help her put her birthday party together. I told her I had no problem with that. We were going to meet immediately after work. I called my husband like the good wife that I was, and I told him that I was going to be running late on that day. He was okay with it. I had not seen my friend in a long time, so catching up took at least 4 hours. And every hour, a text message came into my phone. The first text message was harmless. How much longer? You almost done. I sent a simple no, and life moved on. We continued with our stories. In the next hour, another text came in. Now, who do you think you are staying out that late? Oh, this one caught us off guard. We laughed. We thought it was a joke. I mean, I showed my friend the text. We laughed. But this man was serious. He stopped sending texts and called me, asked me to go home immediately. We had to end the meeting. We ran through a few things for the party. My friend got me a taxi on my way home because matatus were already gone. Well, I was in the taxi. We started having a conversation on text. And he was agitated. He was angry. I was late. Who did I think I was? I switched off my phone. But before I switched off my phone, he said he was going to throw my clothes out. I was like, really? Is he joking? Okay. I switched off my phone. It was coming in the middle. My emotions were coming in the middle of me and my thinking. Then I got home, and true to the words, my clothes were outside. Okay. So I took my clothes and headed for the gate. Where do you think you're going? Get back and get in the house. I was confused. Does he want me gone or does he want me here? I watched him as he locked the gate. Then he walked towards me. He dragged me by the hand and straight into the house. Before I could explain anything, a hot slap landed on my face. Please, don't forget that this man was at least 6 foot tall and weighed over 90 kgs. My tiny self fell on the ground. I was kicked, I was punched, I screamed, I yelled, I cried, I begged him to stop, but he did not stop. To be honest, this was the night that I should have walked out, but I didn't, because I was scared of what maybe he was gonna do worse. He apologized, and he hugged me, and he said he loved me. My eye was injured, and that's how I didn't get to work the next day. I woke up and my left eye could barely open. My face was scarred, and I walked with a limp. He had made breakfast. The demon from last night was gone. He was nowhere to be found. He looked at me and said, "I'm really sorry. I promise to never do this again." I stopped him, told him, no, this is not your fault. This is actually my fault for staying out late. I'll never do it again. And in fact, I started cutting my friends off. Now, the thing about promises is they are easily broken. This man looked for every opportunity to beat me up. Let's talk about the day he beat me up, because I commented on a Facebook post that his friend put up about Cristiano Ronaldo leaving Manchester United. To be honest, I was already numb to these beatings, so that night when I cried, I was hurting. But I was only hurting because Cristiano Ronaldo was leaving Manchester United. I cried for him. How dare he? And even today, when I see him play in another team, it still hurts. Well, I quit my job for a few reasons. One, my husband's insecurities had become too much, and he thought I was cheating on him with any man I spoke to. Well, that was unfortunate because 90% of my clients were men. Two, I concluded I no longer needed to be in an office from 9 to 5 looking at files. Three, my friend had promised me a paying TV job. And four, I had a baby on the way. To be honest, that last one should have been the reason I stayed at my work. But the 24-year-old me thought it was a bright idea to go home and start a car wash business. The car wash business failed. The worst part is, I had no one to talk to. I had cut off at least all of my friends, and the few that had gotten through him were always there complimenting me about how we looked good together. Comments about how, "Oh, you're so lucky, your man doesn't even drink," they were thrown around like confetti. I wish they knew. I wish they knew. Finally, the TV job came through and I started writing. Oh, it was such an amazing time. I mean, even the violence reduced, but that's because I was spending a lot of time indoors. My baby was born in January of 2010. A lot of things changed. It started with my weight. I lost a lot of it. Then it became difficult to leave my bed. And then seeing the way our country and education is set up, it took me a long time to discover that I had postpartum depression. I was nursing an infant, so staying in bed was not an option for me, and yet that's all I wanted to do. I was empty. The well of my creativity had run dry. I couldn't write anymore. I wanted to just find an empty field and scream my lungs out. I was going crazy. One thing about violence is that no one prepares you for it. This one was the big one, the one that broke the camel's back. My baby was baptized in a church. My husband, he sneaked in and out of the church. When my baby was being baptized, he was right there. But immediately after, he was gone, nowhere to be found. His mom came to me and asked me, "What have you prepared for the guests?" I looked her in the eyes and I told her, "I'm sorry, but there's nothing to eat in my house." She didn't say a word. She walked away. I could sense the disappointment in her eyes. I held on to my child and I walked back to my house. I collected a few coins in the house. I went and bought a packet of milk and had it with some rice, at least to generate some breast milk for my child. Evening came. And when evening came, my husband came home, and he came home with the darkness. Now, who do you think you are telling my mom the things we're going through? Who do you think you are? Listen, this was the one. This was it. You know the one that gave Leonardo DiCaprio his first Oscar? This one was it. Before I could say anything, a slap landed on my face. Then a punch. I was kicked. The next thing I knew, I was on the floor. I bled, I yelled, I screamed, I cried, I begged. I asked him to stop. He did not stop. The only reason I survived that night was because his little brother was visiting. He ran out and went and got his mom. We lived in the same compound. She came and she intervened, and things were back to calm, but not in my heart. That night, I swore from the bottom of my heart that this man would never hit me again. I was tired of the insults. I was tired of the abuse. I was tired of making excuses for his abuse. So I removed myself from the relationship. I removed myself from the relationship emotionally, but I remained there physically. We would talk, but barely talk. When we talked, it was either about our child or about the bills that needed to be paid. I started looking for a job. I needed an anchor for when I left. I knew I was going to leave. I just didn't know when, but I knew I was going to leave. You see, the thing about violence is, when the day you decide to leave comes, no one tells you. Your whole being is tired. You uproot yourself without apologies. And I remember on the day I decided I was going to leave, we were in what I'd call a good place. I remember we were coming from a party, and I told him, I'm going back home tomorrow. He was confused. To visit or... I was like, no, I'm leaving you, I'm unhappy. Come on, we're not even fighting, what do you mean? I didn't care. I packed my clothes and those of my child, and I moved back home. I needed my sanity, love, and a plate of warm food, and I knew I'd get that in abundance back at my parents' house. I owed my child safety. I didn't want her to ever see the violence. She was only 6 months old. I was scared. Why it took me so long? Yeah, simple, fear. I was scared of being alone. I was scared of letting the person who had chosen me, let me go. And yet he was the same person who broke me down completely. And I remember on the day I walked out, he looked me in the eyes and said, "You will never find anyone who loves you like I do." And I'm glad he said those words, because who needs a love like his anyway? I was scared of my potential on TV. I was scared of raising my child alone. I was scared of going back home. Fear. This fear crippled me. And if you get nothing else from here today, I hope that you will no longer let fear stop you from walking away from toxic situations and being the best you can be. A decade ago, if you had told me that I'd be standing here giving this talk with people I look up to but also consider my peers, I would have called you mad. And yet, here I am. My story has taught me that we should not be afraid. and my only limit is me, and that applies to you too.